Hi, I'm Jan Peper, and I'm here at the American Legion Post 43 in Faribault, and I have a special guest today. His name is Ray L. Sanders. Ray served in the United States Army. He's a Korean veteran. He served from 1951 until 1953. He was in the 199th Combat Engineers. Now, Ray, we were talking a little bit earlier, and you were telling me that you were involved in a very special event in Washington, D.C. Can you tell me about that?
Correct. I was honored to be on this flight. My son signed us up over 2 years ago, and it took 2 years to get on this. The list is always, they have a waiting list constantly. And so we were honored to go. There were 75 veterans on the airplane with us. And when we arrived in the Reagan terminal there, we met hundreds and hundreds of people that were there in line, waiting, shaking our hands, congratulating us for being in service and being during the Korean War, which we served. We got on buses constantly all day long, and we saw many memorials. We saw the Iwo Jima Memorial, the Women's Memorial, the White House, Capitol, the Navy Memorial, World War II Memorial, Korean Memorial, Lincoln and Vietnam Memorials, and we had that changing the guard. It's a flag ceremony in Arlington, and that's a time where you just can't speak at all. That's the first time in my life I couldn't talk for 20 minutes. It was really honor. It was great. And then during this time, we were met with many, many people. I probably shook that day over 500 hands. That's how, I felt just honored so to be there and to go through all these memorials. It was just awesome. But I think the highlight was the Korean Memorial with the 19 soldiers. That kind of put tears in my eyes when I looked at that, got pictures of it, and it was really very, very nice. They treated us just wonderful. Everybody was happy. We ended up at a club there for a big dinner. So we had a nice ceremony there, and then we headed back to the airport.
And when you returned home, can you tell me what the scene was like at the airport?
Well, coming home, it was quite a deal. They mentioned the mailbox. You remember in the service when you got a mailbox? That's when you ran and got your mail. Well, all of a sudden, my son pulls out of underneath his seat this bag, and it is full of 150 letters from everybody, all my relatives and neighbors and friends in Faribault and all over the country. And it took me hours to read them all. But that was a highlight there that I never thought was going to happen.
Ray, out of all the letters you received in your mail bag, were there any that were special to you? I know that they're all special, but any that were a little bit more special?
I think 2 from my granddaughters were outstanding, and after I read those 2, I couldn't read any farther. But I'll just read the first paragraph. I don't even know where to start. The word that comes to my mind when I think of you is blessed. Why would I use that word? Well, to begin with, we are shaped by our families. We become the people we are because of the influence of the people that are around us. From early on in life, you have played such an important role in influencing the person I am today. I was your firstborn grandchild, so I am the one that first taught you the love of grandparents for their grandchildren. Wow, that's a tough one.
That's
a
good one.
I couldn't read it, and then the other one was just as good, but that was enough. I put the rest aside.
And this one was special because?
Oh, this came from our United States Senator, Amy Klobuchar, who's a queen to me. I think she's great.
She's wonderful.
Just like that. And to get that one too was a privilege, and to see that, and signed it by her and that. So, and I got so many others here. Like I counted over 150 of them. So that is just awesome.
That is awesome.
Right. Another thing, when we got off the airplane, it was they said you're going to be like you're going through a parade. Well, it was. You got off the airplane, and you walked, and here were generals, lieutenants, captains, all servicemen saluting us when we went through, all 75 vets. And then they had a group singing to us, and they had a band playing. And then at the end there, you had about 500 family members waiting for you to shake your hand and congratulate you. So it was really a great highlight. 2 weeks after we came, when the flight was completed, they invited us back at this church up there. And at that time, they presented us with a tape of the whole deal. So if I forget anything, all I got to do is look in here and watch this. And then they also gave us this honor flight. And then veterans made us each a blanket.
Oh?
A beautiful blanket. So we were all presented with these blankets too. And that was another big highlight and a great.
So if there was one thing about this whole event, what would the one thing be that really stood out in your mind?
Looking at this Korean.
The Korean?
The Korean War.
And what about that?
It just, being in the Korean War, it just put tears in my eyes just to see those 19 soldiers there. And as you can see on the picture here, which my kids gave me, they gave me a booklet here at Christmas, my 2 granddaughters, and that was really great to get this and something to remember. And so I would say that probably was one of the highlights. But the whole thing was a highlight to me. I mean, it's something that I recommend anybody that can sign up and take this flight, they should do so. Because it's something that you'll treasure. I just reached my 90th birthday the other day, and I'm just so honored that I had a chance to do this. And it's just something to remember forever.
And it's a wonderful way for all of us to thank you and your fellow veterans for all that you did and for your service to our country.
Yep. That's it in a nutshell. That is it, because it was just like, I think, coming off when I got my discharge. That's how I felt, that happy to be privileged to be honored. And this was their anniversary year. They do this twice a year, April and September.
And your flight was September 29th of 2018.
And that's the 10th anniversary, and they do it twice a year. So that was quite an honor, too. And we had 2 gals that led us in singing, and it's in this booklet, the songs we sang in here at the end, and it was just tremendous. It was just great. I just can't talk enough about it, but I just treasure it. It's in my heart.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And once again, thank you so much for your service.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to tell people about this honor flight, and I recommend it. I recommend it definitely to anybody who has a chance. And I've talked to people now, so they'll put their name on the list so they can go in 2 years. But mostly we had one person on the flight that was 96, and he was dying. He was going to die in 3 months.
Oh, my.
But he was there with us, and he was in a wheelchair, and he was right with us so that's something that I remember too.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
With Ray L. Sanders from the American Legion Post 43, I'm Jan Peper.